Great atmosphere for NCAA tournament game. Interesting, not as big a crowd as we've been fortunate to have with the two ACC opponents we had when we had Notre Dame and North Carolina. But certainly the juice was here, the energy, and obviously the do or die, what was riding on the game. So couldn't be more grateful for having being a Clockner and being in front of our home crowd. And two teams that really went after each other. I don't know how many penalties they called, maybe 10, 12. They could have called 20 probably, and so we appreciate the referees allowing the game to be played against two teams that were trying to be, to physically dominate the other, which is not easy to do. And, it's about we're always bigger than our opponents. That team is big, if not bigger than us. And so really the sort of a throwback game when you think about the game we've inherited from the Native Americans. It's supposed to be physical. It's supposed to be tough. It's not supposed to be easy. Bodies on the ground. And, man, that felt like, almost like NHL playoff hockey.
What allowed Payton to get going the way he did today?
Yeah, certainly. It certainly helps he has Connor Schellenberger throwing him a lot of those passes. But man, Payton put the ball in some tiny little spots sometimes. I thought the goalie for St. Joe's was anticipating well where the ball was going, yet Payton still snuck it just between the body and the pipe. What a gifted scorer, and what an amazing performance on his very last game at Clockner Stadium.
I'm sure you thought that if you got two more games for Payton, he would get the record. Do you think he'd get all 8 today?
I wasn't even thinking about the record today. I try not to think about records, period. I'm all about the team. But I absolutely, honestly, was not thinking about the record today. It was a shock to me. And people were running on the field. I'm like, get off the field. I know we're up by 7, but get off the field. We got a game to play here. And then, I guess that was a big goal.
It looked like they threw a flag and then picked it up. Like
Did they?
They were going to call celebration.
They knew what was going on.
Gotcha.
They realized maybe.
So the referees and me didn't know what was going on, which is kind of par for the course sometimes.
Lars, you said
I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Did you feel as though adjusting to a 10-man took some time for you?
Jesus, I was so upset early in the game. We worked on that all week, and we did not handle that well at all. The looks that we made were poor, and that was frustrating. Give St. Joe's and Taylor Ray credit. What they've developed, that 10-man ride, it's really tough to break. But we made some poor decisions as a defense, and they exaggerated with some real tremendous hustle. And like us, they've got 6'7" and 6'5" guys who can pick off the lazy long ball that you don't think there's no way they can cover it. But yeah, that 10-man ride really frustrated us. And we still had 6 goals in the first quarter. I was like, fellas, if we just keep the ball in our offensive hands, and so we got to show more poise in that. Now, I don't know if we'll see anything like that the rest of the way here, but we'll have to prepare for it in case our next opponent says, hey, look at this.
What'd you think of the performance at the X and how physical that was?
Yeah, that was a battle there. Gavin Ty, who once upon a time wore the Virginia uniform, and then now our kind of modern men, Anthony Gabriel and Thomas Clucci, what a battle that was. That was awesome. And then the wings, they come in and stick you and hit you. It was that was a great battle. What I'm really excited about is our faceoff men picked up 11 ground balls themselves. I think Anthony 6 and Thomas 5. That's what's different. We didn't get that earlier in the year. Our faceoff men relied on our wings to pick up the ball. Today, our faceoff men were taking care of business themselves.
What do you think is underappreciated about Payton's game? And just kind of, he doesn't always get a ton of accolades, but
sure. It's interesting. We keep score for a reason. There's all these other stats up on that board, but the most important stat is what he does the best at. He's the best in the nation at it. But yet, he doesn't draw the double team in terms of initiating attacks. He can't score from outside 12 yards. He's not the greatest rider. So there's a lot of things you can say he doesn't do well. But you can do that one category, and that's the most important category, that's why he gets overlooked. Now, let's give USA Lacrosse credit. They named him a second-team All-American, and Payton certainly showed that a Canadian deserves to be second-team All-American.
Lars, there have been some talk, particularly kind of among national media, about the midfield and its lack of production recently. It seemed like they kind of came out and set the tone before Payton took it over. Schutz had the early goal. Boyden had a couple of things. Did those guys have something to prove, or did you tell them they needed to prove something?
They did. I mean, they heard the national media noise. They do. And then we put McCabe Millen up at midfield for portions of the game, more than we've done in the past, to give it a jolt. And so McCabe was more of a midi in the first quarter and parts of the third quarter, which Schutz is asking for, because Schutz, it gets a little less pressure on him. and opens him up more. So, yeah, the production from the midfield is critical moving forward.
Just in general, for what you guys have been through over the last few weeks, how much of this is just a quality reset in a lot of ways, particularly at the defensive end, given the job you guys did on Anderson and Gold?
It feels so good to finally eat. We talk about it all the time. You know, be the hunter. No matter if your opponent's really highly ranked or lowly ranked, be the hunter. Don't be the hunted. But you don't eat unless you win, and it feels really good to eat finally. So it does. Maybe it's a little bit of a reset. Maybe it's like, finally, here we go. And against an opponent that a lot of people are like, 12 wins in a row. They're coming in here with a really veteran seasoned group. And so there was no guarantees coming into this game.
Do you think y'all are back to your game in the ground ball battle? I know it's about 50-50 statistically, but do you think it was better than the stats
It's
showed?
been. Now give Notre Dame credit for a lot of that, but it felt good to win a lot of those extra balls.